Hey guys, welcome back. Joe here again from ScaleFreak.com, coming to bring you an after-run thoughts video on the RC4WD Portal Axles that I have installed on F-Bomb. See, the big portals. I did a video from these guys a while back. There was a lot of questions and a lot of possible concerns that had been voiced about the performance of this part. And I kind of wanted to go through some of the concerns that were there and answer some of the questions, and then of course give you my thoughts after I've put a whole handful of packs through these things. So you know what? Check out the video. First thing is first, I want to address what everyone originally thought was going to be the biggest problem with these portal axles, and that is this low link. On the RC4WD website, when you look at this product, it actually looks like this link is going to be in the way of absolutely everything. But after you get them installed correctly on the truck, you'll notice that the rake, or the clocking on the front axles is just enough to actually make this link a good distance above the center of the pumpkin and a good distance above the knuckles here for the portals themselves. So the link, I didn't recall or I don't remember getting that caught on anything. It seemed like that was a no problem part. Even though I had tossed around the idea of moving this up higher, it changed the angle. Let's pull this up here. It changed the angle of the drag link a little bit, so it did run into the chassis. So I had to put it on the bottom for now, I guess. But I'll tell you what was, and this is not something that I thought was going to be a concern, but it ended up being a concern on the front and the back of the kit during my runs. The bottoms of the portals, right here. So the actual bottom part of the casing. Now, this does widen the truck, which for my driving, it didn't improve it, let's put it that way. The way that I'm used to running this rig, the extra width on the kit actually wound up being a negative for my type of driving. I want to correct that. Now, but of course, the bottom part of this portal here kept getting caught on things. Now, you'll see here, when you look at it straight on, it's actually got quite a bit of space on the inside of the tire. So if you slide off the side of the tire on a rock, typically you would land on the inside of the axle, and you would still be able to turn your tire to try to get a little bit of a grip onto the rock. But the problem is with the way that the bottom of this portal is built, it kind of grabs onto it and it stays there. Whether it's on the front or the back, it's not as easy to slide as it is on the plastic axle. Now, also, there was the question about, well, what is it going to do? It's going to get you a little bit more space off the ground for the pumpkin, which is true. It actually does. But I never realized how much I actually use the center of the pumpkin when I'm driving. It's amazing now that I'm not getting to touch that. My rig is actually getting caught up more, given that I can't just hit this and slide off to one of the sides. When you get it caught up on one of these, you're not going anywhere. When you get it caught up on this axle part, you're not going very many places. But on the center of this, the way that it's shaped on the bottom, if you do high side on that, the chance of your rig sliding from side to side is very high, which actually is probably responsible for a lot of the recoveries that a lot of us are able to do once we get hung up on some rocks. So now I've removed my ability to use that as a slider. In turn, I've given myself more, I guess, more hang-ups in here, which was a bit of a concern. I wasn't really happy with that. Flipping the truck upside down, we're coming to kind of something that I knew was going to be a concern if you're using the stock axle shells. Now, again, we're building our rigs to transfer a lot of torque, right? This is a Vanquish transmission case. I've got the Axle HD gears. I'm using MIP shafts. I've got my slipper locked down solid. You know, I've got GCM last lockers in here, upgraded whatever I can as a part of my driveline. The idea is I want to be able to get all that torque to the tires. You know, but the problem with this is with these portals in place, watch what happens. So say, for example, one tire gets stuck and I'm still turning. Watch what happens to this. This thing will just bend. You're not getting the strength that you would expect, and these things will just turn. Because they're connected to clamshell style axle, this thing here will shift and pivot however it needs to. And given that you're getting this axle, you know, even that much more leverage, it has absolutely no problem really just shifting. It will twist your entire axle, which it almost spring loads the tire because it goes, and then bam, it goes like that. And that's not a consistent style of driving. And in actuality, it becomes a hindrance because your tire will roll, everything will bind up, and everything else is trying to roll, and here you got one axle that you're losing all of this power to. Maybe, if you're using an upgraded axle housing, maybe something like the older Vanquish housings with the cap on the front, you know, maybe that might make a difference in the front and the rear. But the way this is set up now, and even still, like that was just the front section, it's the same with the rear. It twists just as bad because of the plastic housing. Then we come to the concern of the additional ride height. Now, I do want to clarify that I am using the longer King suspension shocks. I'm using 100mm suspension on this thing. So that is going to change a lot of your setups as well, a lot of what this thing actually may be able to do. I'm pretty sure when they designed this product, they did not design it for the idea of having 100mm suspension on it. But that's what I have. Now, originally I didn't think that the higher center of gravity was going to be much of a concern, but with this suspension, it did become a bit of a problem. Mainly because the suspension that I run is nice and loose. It does have a lot of cushion to it, so it rolls very easy. Now, giving me that extra, let's call it even a ½ inch, I think it was more like a 3/4 of an inch ride height difference, really created a lot more body roll. Side hilling became a problem. Even though the kit is wider, you would lean more because now you're higher, and then very quickly your inside tires, or even worse, your inside, whichever the upper tire was when you're trying to turn, would leave the ground, and then you would roll. At the TTC that I ran these things in, I actually spent most of my day on my roof because I was unable to, I guess, prepare or counteract for the amount of extra body roll I was going to getting because of the extra height of the kit. The center of gravity was enough of a difference that the rig, it had changed so drastically that I struggled with the day. Could it be, you know, I could prepare for that a little bit more? Yes. Could I shorten my suspension? Yes. Could I thicken up the shock oil even more? I went from a 10 to a 35 just to slow down my transfer a little bit. And again, it did make some changes that I struggled with throughout the day. Another thing that was a bit of a, I guess I kind of had it in the back of my head that this may have been a concern, and maybe it was because I thought about it, was we are now adding 8 more gears into your drive line, right? 2 per corner, because you've got the one that comes off your outdrive and spools into the bottom one. So 8 more gears to your whole driveline system. 8 more gears also means 8 more brake points. Now, I didn't break any. That wasn't a problem. But I also have added grease to each one of those areas. And because I'm using, you know, something good like the outer butter, it's got a nice thick coating on everything, which actually added that much more drag across 8 more gears. So it actually became a bit more of a struggle for the system. Remember, this F-bomb right now is just using a 35-turn Pro Tekin motor with the FXR. My batteries did not last as long, and I don't believe I got as much power off the system because it had all that additional resistance through all the 4 corners. Bit of a concern, so be it. It is what it is, but 8 more gears. Not something I was ready to deal with. Now, am I giving up on the portals? No, not at all. Am I going to take them off of F-bomb and possibly put them into another project later? Yes. I ran them on the F-bomb. I ran them for, that day was, I don't know, like 10 hours, 8 hours of running with it. In between events, I was going to the rocks by myself and trying it out. I just did not like how it made this rig perform. And given that the F-bomb is my bulletproof rig, this is the one that I want to build into this ultimate truck, I do not feel that these are bulletproof parts. Not necessarily because of the quality of the part, but mostly because of how it works on this truck. Just the fact that the axle twists like that, I cannot leave this onto what I'm calling my bulletproof truck, because if my axle twists, it's not bulletproof, man. It's not going to work for me. So also, I will install them on a different purpose rig later, because this one here is supposed to be kind of my ultimate trail rig. And I've been around a lot of off-road stuff for most of my life, and never once have I actually seen portals on anything. So I'm going to pull them off. On YouTube, you can go and see portals on tons of stuff if you're searching for portals. But on a real rig, you know, we got a lot of Jeeps around this area. Not a single one of them is using a portal, so I'm going to pull them off this rig. I will try them again at a later time, just not on this truck. So that's it for this one, guys. I wanted to give you my after review on these parts just so that you knew kind of where it was going with these portals. You're not going to see them for a bit because I'm not building that other purpose rig just yet. So what I want you to do, though, is I want you to leave your thoughts below in the comment section about what you think of the portals if you have used them yet. Please also remember to click the like button, click on subscribe, and share this throughout your community. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Have yourself a great day.